Do you listen to the radio, Simon? Are you a radio man?
Not as much as I used to be, I've got to be honest with you, because I have so little time to do anything. So now I've got Eric. We tend to watch cartoons, mainly Scooby-Doo. So the answer is not as much as I used to.
Let's be honest, though. You were watching quite a lot of cartoons before Eric.
That's very true.
Well, look, I think you're going to love this show, Simon, when you get to tune in, because we're going to cut through all the spin, all the bluster out there, all the boring BBC-style broadcasts which have dominated for so long in this country, and do something that's actually much more real.
It like it is.
Yeah, just like you did in the talent show genre a few years ago.
Yeah, in fact, we've literally just spent the last 4 hours talking about what we're doing next, what our next shows are, blah, 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 blah. So, I don't know, it's an exciting time at the moment.
Have you sensed this new era? 2020, Brexit's done, there's a new government.
Yes. I tell you, you know what, I mean, I don't talk about politics ever anymore, but there was one very, very interesting thing I heard about Brexit when it was finally concluded, and this businessman came on and he said, you do realise there's another 133 countries now you can be doing business with. And that really resonated with me, because I was thinking, that applies to what we do. We've got to go into new markets, launch new shows. It's not just about the UK and the USA anymore. The world is a very exciting place.
And you're a great example, aren't you, of a businessman who has always based his company in the UK. But actually, your formats are everywhere. They are all around the world, not just in Europe.
Yeah, I call it the Harrods test as to how well we're to Harrods shopping. And it tells you how many people are watching the show around the world, because people from literally every country in the world come up and say, I've seen your show. And it's like, where? And it's like, oh, no, it runs in our country, or I've seen it on YouTube or whatever. And I always get a kick out of that.
But there's change for you, right? Tell me, is this true that we're not going to have XFactor this year? Because I'm going to be very unhappy if that's true. Because, I think I've been the most loyal fan of XFactor for about nearly 2 decades.
You have. We had a conversation, you and I, about a year ago. And I won't go into detail on the radio, but there was a couple of things you said to me that resonated.
Yes.
And I thought, since it is 2020, new decade, we have to rest it for a year and come back with what, Star Trek. It started off as one thing, and then there was Star Trek: The Next Generation, and blah 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 blah. I think in this day and age, that's where we've got to come back with a show which is different, is relevant, takes into account all the things that kids are watching, being influenced by, blah 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 blah. Not just repeat what we've been doing for the last 14 years, because I just couldn't do that. And you will be part of that development process, whether you like it or not.
Well, I want to be, because the thing is, American Idol, which was obviously a show that you made famous to begin with in the States, it had only about 3 years off, didn't it? And it's come back as a big new format. So I think sometimes maybe people just need a little time away from something to realise how much they actually love it.
Yeah, hopefully, yeah. But more importantly, when it comes back, it's got to be better than what it was before. And I just got to that point thinking, you can't rush these things. You've got to give it some time. And I genuinely mean, I was very flattered by what you said at the beginning of the interview, but I think you have fantastic instincts. So when I next see you, I'll tell you what I'm thinking.
Good.
And you tell me what you're thinking, because we have to make a new music show, which is for the next decade,
Well, because I guess everything's changed, hasn't it? With streaming, everything has changed. The way we consume music now, and actually entertainment in general has changed.
Yeah, look, people still love music, but look, I always say the casting's important. The days of telling people what to do, what to say, what to wear, they're over. And I don't want to get into the masked singer business, which is just a bit of a joke and you don't discover anyone. I like discovery shows, where you can find someone who needs a break and after appearing on one of my shows can become a star literally overnight. I still get a big kick out of that. So along with the next evolution of XFactor, I've got 2 new talent shows we're going to launch in the next 12 months. One in particular, I really do believe, Dan, is our best one yet.
Wow. So you're very busy. You're very busy. Now, Simon, I have to ask, have you gone woke? Are you part of
What's
this
that?
woke revolution now that you've
What's
gone
that?
vegan? You know, woke means sort of like uber PC. It's like politically correct. You're vegan, you're extremely feminist, that type of thing.
Well, I kind of always been a bit like that. I mean, it's one of the reasons I started Got Talent, because we said, what's the point of having a talent show with rules? I mean, there shouldn't be any rules. Anyone should be allowed to enter. Any country should be allowed to enter. Doesn't matter what your talent is. So I've always kind of had that in me anyway.
And did you go vegan for animal rights reasons? Because I obviously know you're a passionate animal lover, but then you loved meat. You loved your shepherd's pies and your ham sandwiches.
I've got to admit, I did struggle with that.
Yeah.
And then when I realised that actually it's not as difficult as you think, and the health benefits that come with it, which are ginormous, not just physically but mentally.
But Simon, you look like another man.
I feel like another man. I swear to God, Dan. I feel the best I've felt in the last 20 years.
And it's just by going vegan.
Yeah, I would say that, and changing my hours because I was working all hours. I stopped that because I've got to keep up on Eric time now. And I start to enjoy the daytime more than I used to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Another big issue this week, Simon, is about equality in the music industry. A lot of people saying that these festival lineups are actually too male-dominated, and the 1975 have said they will no longer perform at music festivals unless there's a 50-50 gender split. But this is an interesting one for me, Simon, because I actually think it's very difficult to say the music industry is sexist when you look at Taylor Swift, Beyonce, Jennifer Lopez, Shakira, clearly like the biggest music stars in the world. So do you think there's an issue with sexism in the music industry, or actually do you just think it's that maybe females don't tend to be gravitated towards being in rock bands and that sort of thing?
Well, look, I mean, I deal in pop, as you know, so I've worked with probably as many girl bands as I've worked with boy bands. I mean, it's if you feel there's a gap in the market for a girl band, you're going to sign a girl band. And likewise, if there's a gap in the market for a boy band, you're going to sign a boy band. Ideally, you end up with both. I think the issue, if go back to your point about equality and these awards, is who's on the committee. If you open it up to the public, then I think you get a fairer result because you're never quite sure who's on the committee, what they're voting for, or blah, 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 blah. That's why I always think, everything should be left to the public to decide. It would be like on one of my shows, having some sort of secret committee deciding who's going to win. I mean, it would be absurd.
Well, these panels are totally out of touch. The Brit Awards panel is totally out of touch. The Oscars panel is totally out of touch. The BAFTAs panel is totally out of touch. And they don't love mainstream populist culture. They've never loved me because I work for the Sun newspaper, for example. But we're the biggest newspaper in the country in terms of readers.
I take your point, but that's where I think things have gone a bit askew because I have no idea who is on these panels. I don't know what the criteria is for why they award, whatever movie. I like the days when the big blockbuster movies, the ones we really, I mean, these even before I was born, actually, those classic movie stars, both male and female. I mean, it's interesting. In those times, you think of people like Betty Davis and Joan Crawford and all the greats. And, of course, there were great male actors as well. And
Kirk Douglas, who we just lost last week.
Exactly. So if they ever came to me for advice, which they wouldn't, I would say get rid of the committee, let the public vote.
Democratize it.
Yeah, because the public, that's why I always put my shows in, I trust the public enough that they will make the right decision. And you know, like you saw last year on Got Talent, an 89-year-old World War One veteran won the show, gets a record deal and has a top 10 album. I mean, it's bloody brilliant.
No, absolutely. Look, a couple of big issues in the news. Phillip Schofield, he came out as gay on This Morning. Obviously, he'd been married to a woman for 27 years. Joan Collins said everyone knew in the entertainment industry. Did you know, Simon, and what was your reaction?
Listen, my gaydar isn't great, to be honest with you.
I am, by the way, just so you know.
Really? Really? Well, thank you for telling me. You know what the funny thing is that because, you know, the second my first job was a runner on a film set. So I've worked on films, I've worked on TV, I've worked in music, and I would say probably 50% of the people I work with or worked with, they are gay, have been gay, whatever. So it's not even a conscious thought anymore, if that makes sense. You know, everyone's got the right to either be open or have their privacy. It's their decision. So I guess he feels better getting it off his chest. What do you think?
Well, I think it explains a lot, if I'm honest, because if you're living in the closet, sometimes it means you're a bit unhappy, a little bit angry. And obviously, Phillip had that big bust up with our great friend Amanda Holden, didn't he?
Yeah.
And I just think now, Simon, and I genuinely mean this, I don't mean it in a horrible way, I think now he might be able to be a happier person as a result of this.
I think you're probably right. It does make me laugh because when I first went on TV 20 years ago, I used to do these interviews, and always the first question was, "Are you gay?" And I used to go, "No," and they go, "Yes, you are." And I said, "Do you honestly think it would be a problem if I was?"
Yeah.
And that I'd hide it like it's something wrong. I said, "Look, you know, if I was, I'd tell you, and if I'm not, I would tell you." But it always used to crack me up that it was something bad you had to sort of hide. So I think, you know, to that point, I think it's a very positive thing because you've seen the support he's got because nobody cares.
No, absolutely. Coronavirus, are you scared about it? Because I know you're a man that's very big on hygiene.
Yes, I'm terrified about it.
Are you wearing masks?
Well, I've worn masks for ages. When I cycle around town, I wear a mask. I'm taking Eric to Disneyland in Paris next weekend, and I'm almost certain when we're on the train, we will be wearing masks 100%.
Sensible.
With a lot of hand sanitizer because it really scares me.
I'm not worried yet, but at the same time, I think I probably wouldn't want to go to China right now.
Well, I wouldn't want to be on a cruise ship right now.
Oh no, that's hell. Honestly, it's put me off going on a cruise ever in my life.
Ever. Those people stuck on that cruise ship at the moment, why they haven't taken them off and put them into proper hospitals, it's unbelievable.
It's my worst nightmare, actually.
I mean, that's certainly somewhere where I wouldn't go. But no, it does worry me, and I've seen movies about this kind of stuff before, and you always think, with so many people traveling all over the world, it's going to happen one day, and we're seeing it right in front of our eyes right now. And
finally, Simon, the knighthood. What is happening? Do I need to go down to Downing Street and actually speak to Boris Johnson myself? Because they're giving these idiots, right, who have done virtually nothing for the entertainment industry, OBEs, MPs, where is your knighthood? Have you annoyed someone in the Conservative Party? What is going on here?
I have no idea. I mean, I actually, if I'm going to be honest with you, I laugh about it now.
You have to.
Because, look, to be honest with you, I every day you do a day like this when you're with your company and you're talking about doing fun things. That's why I did this. If it happened, fantastic. If it didn't, it's not the end of my world. I mean, it wouldn't change my life.
Well, look, you've done more for the entertainment industry in this country over the past 20 years than any other person, man or woman. So I think it's outrageous, and I think it will happen. Sometimes, you know, you saw Bruce Forsyth. They took years. They only just managed to give it to him before he died. So it will happen, but it's a very, very strange one. But Simon, thank you so much. I had to have you on my first show, so I'm so delighted you were able to chat.
That meant a lot to me. I really appreciate it.